Hey, Al, it's Nightstrike. I've been watching a couple videos. I've been watching everyone's videos lately, and uh, I wanted to put my 2 cents out here on the whole ATF rulemaking thing. And I've heard what others have said, and quite honestly, I've got links in this video in the description of this video. Once it becomes a video after the live stream, I can also send out links while people are watching. But we need to get everyone, and I mean absolutely everyone, on board to prevent the ATF from making up their own rules. Because right now, if they go ahead and make this determination on bump stocks, that'll give them a leeway to go and say, oh, also, trigger actuators, drop-in triggers, everything other than mil spec, even if it's just a spring, will be illegal. And quite honestly, I don't want to see that. It's not the ATF's job to make up laws and rulings. It's the ATF's job to go and enforce the law. It would be like letting the FBI come up with laws on their own and determine laws on their own instead of enforcing the law. It would be exactly that. And that's not what they're supposed to do. So, if anyone wants to jump in and give their perspective, go ahead and just send me an email. I'll send you a link, all right? But I'm worried about this. I'm extremely worried about this. Clovertax says, Nightstrike live. God help the queen. Very funny. You were live last night. Don't give me that. Matt Sexy's here. So is Jealous. Hey, guys. How's it going? But yeah, I'll drop links out here in the chat to go ahead and let everyone know where to go. But I'm seriously afraid of this. And it's not that I'm a coward or anything. It's just that I'm afraid of what will happen if they do succeed in changing a rule and making something that wasn't illegal. Because if they can do that, they can decide that, oh, the Second Amendment wasn't for they can make a ruling saying the Second Amendment wasn't for semi-autos. It was only for black powder. So everybody can only have black powder rifles and revolvers. You see how that works? The whole, terminating and rulemaking on their own? That's not good. That is not good. So, where are those links? Yeah. All right. These are some of the same links that I've been seeing floating out there on the internet. So, there's one of them. I don't know how well these are going to work out. And then here's the GOA one. But the deadline for the rulemaking is it is the 25th of January, and they decided to do this right during SHOT Show when everybody is distracted by SHOT Show. And yeah, if you don't think that was intentional, I'm telling you right now it was, because they want to get this under the rug. They may even, I hate to say this, and I may be conspiracy nut by saying this, but the ATF may be just receiving comments, but they may already have a disposition to go ahead and ban it anyways. They're just accepting comments. But either way, I urge and implore everyone to use those links out there in the chat on this video, and even on the description of the video, to go and sign up and actually prevent the ATF from rulemaking. I mean, even if we have to call them, email them, fax them, blow up their telephone line. When I mean blow up their telephone lines, I mean by make them very busy. But we got to do something, otherwise this can be seen as a very easy step into into gun restriction and gun confiscation. Don't even think that that just because you don't have a bump stock, you don't like bump stocks, you don't use them, that getting rid of them will make things better. It will actually make things worse. So, all right. What else? There's the Hangout link if anyone wants to jump in. The evil Hangout link right there. I don't normally put it out there in the chat, but what the hell? Oh, that's not working. Yeah, I saw that. What URL service is working that does do that is working with the chat? Does anybody know? Was it Tiny URL or something like that? Yeah. So, and yeah, you know what? That Clover brings up a great point. Don't just don't just email and call people. Go get on Twitter. Start direct messaging Trump on Twitter, because apparently that's the only way you can get him to respond to a single person. So blow his Twitter up with, comments and messages saying, hey, they're not supposed to be making up laws. They're only supposed to be enforcing laws. What the hell are you doing?
He obviously reads his Twitter quite frequently.
He does. So it may be a thing where, we just need to get on Twitter and just text message Trump saying, hey, the ATF is trying to make up laws. Don't let them do that. It might help. It couldn't hurt. I mean, it's just Twitter, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's Reddit and you're self-promoting, so. But yeah. This has got me worried, because I watched the video with Iraq veteran and Mac, and I'm not in high spirits right now.
Well, it's and I understand your concern, and I understand where you're coming from. But I honestly, this is just me. Maybe it's the optimist in me, always trying to make silver out of shit. But I really do believe that the ATF has no intention of rewording the definition of fully automatic or a machine gun. I really don't. I don't believe that they're actually going to do much with this. I think that this is a charade that they are putting out there, because they're not saying they're going to. They're going to look at it. And I think they already know the answer to the questionnaire they put out there. They already know all these answers from the manufacturer side, from the retail side, and from the consumer side. They know all of this stuff. Maybe, like I said, maybe this is the optimist in me. I've already done all that I can do. I've submitted my questionnaire and all of that. But I do believe that when a push comes to shove, I don't think that they will reword it. That's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm naive, but maybe that's just the optimist in me also.
Right. I understand. I understand that you want to be, you are ever the optimist. I myself am more of a realist, and yes, I am negative a lot too. So,
well, I'm not just because you're an optimist doesn't mean you're not a realist. I'm very much a realist.
I mean, I can see the
I
writing
think
on the wall.
being a realist and being a pessimist are different things.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
can see the writing on the wall that this could be used as something to further gun control.
No. I'm not saying that it can't. I'm not saying, yes, if they do change stuff, then absolutely it can be used for future things to alter the Second Amendment as we know it. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think the ATF is going to do it. I really don't. I might be wrong about that.
And only time will tell on that. But in the meantime, I implore everyone out that watches this video, that listens to the podcast, that joins in on the podcast, go to those links and make yourself heard.
Absolutely.
I mean, share those links with your friends and family that, you know, support what it means to be American, and tell them to say no too, because honestly, we need all the help we can get on this one. This is, you know, unfortunately, this is one thing that a lot of gun owners are torn in between, or are I hate to say it, it's a small niche in the gun owner community in itself. I'm one of the very few that actually has one and supports the ownership of bump stocks and devices like that, because they're fun, it's entertaining. You know, it would be like just, you know, modifying your trigger to lighter trigger pull. That's how I see it. It's just a fun gimmick. It's not something that needs to be regulated or taken away.
That's exactly, almost not verbatim, but when in the comments that I made to their questionnaire, that was a comment that I made. I said the bump fire stock is a gimmick that is being used as a scapegoat for liberals and pro gun control people to make an excuse as to why tragedies happen. The bump fire stock is not reliable. It is something that takes, honestly, it's going to take a lot of practice for you to quote unquote master how to shoot a bump. I said you can get the same results from other things, but more importantly, this is a gimmick. This is something that the liberal gun control people are trying to use as a scapegoat for tragedies. It makes no difference about bump fire. I said I personally don't like bump fire stocks, but I sure as hell don't want anybody to tell me that I can't have them should I want one. You know.
Okay. So
we're on the same page. They are gimmicks, you know.
Clover Tack wants a link, so I'm going to email him a link because he's getting pretty vocal out there.
Sure.
But thanks for jumping in, Ghost.
Yeah, man.
I sent it to you because I know you know who's, and I'm not trying to out you, but you are a veteran, and you know that I respect veterans an awful lot.
I know that.
And it's good that your perspective, that you've come from being a veteran, you know, guy that goes out there and fights for the people, and, you know, protects the people by being in the military and serving. You've actually fought and used these guns, but then you've come over to the other side, and now you know the ins and outs of how to use them, to fix, to build them, to repair them. Now you've made that transition from just being a user of firearms to firearms.
Well, I don't know firearms as well as Clover as these others, but I know firearms probably more than the average person. I would say this is, and this gets people really funny when I say this. I don't believe that the civilian world needs fully automatic weapons.
I don't agree with you, but I agree.
No.
I don't agree with you, but I agree that you are allowed to have your opinion. You are allowed to have your opinion, and that's your opinion. So
no, but what I'm saying is once again, I don't think there is a need, and that's the operative word here, a need for fully automatic weapons. Now, do I think that they should be banned? By no means whatsoever. I'm all for everyone having anything that they want. I'm a big supporter. You know that about me. Have what you want to have. Just because I don't think there's a need for them in the civilian world doesn't mean that I think that they should be banned by any means.
There's a difference. There's a difference between There's a difference between do we in this day and age and technology and whatever, do we need?
That's right.
Do we need a water well on our property? No.
That's right.
Is it good to have? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So here's the thing: a need, as society, as tech, as things change, needs change. We got far less starving people in the world today than we used to, thanks to all of that stuff. However, that does not change the original intent and the premise of the Constitution. It's not about a need. So you can sit there and go, be of the mind that we don't need this, but I will support, that anybody that should want it, should have full capability to obtain it.
Absolutely. And I think you guys both know that that's where I come from, is the need versus reality. I don't believe, like I said, I will probably never buy, nor will I probably ever own a bump stock. Yeah. But do I want anyone to tell me that I can't? Hell no. Yeah. You don't get it. You don't get that right.
Say you're out shooting with friends, and if your friend asks if you want to try it out and play around with it,
I'll try it out.
Yeah. Okay. See,
I'm gonna shoot the hell out of it.
Right?
Or try. I'm gonna try. Anyway.
I will try to shoot the hell out of the bump stock.
you saw my video. You saw that I instructed Smeggy on how to use a bump stock, and he said that was actually kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. It is fun, but it doesn't mean that I want to be the person I want.
Click.
Click.
Click. Rack. Magazine. Rack. Click. Oh my God! Really? Just give me a semi-auto already. I could have got the job done.
That's too good.
It's the entertainment factor, Clover. I enjoy it.
No, it is. I agree, and that's in my comment. I mean, I put all lawful, recreational, sporting, whatever purposes, was part of the wording in there, because I mean it has no practical application. Let's be honest about it.
It's a novelty item.
We can't sit here and say, as Ghost said, that there's a need for a bump stock. There's not a need for that piece of crap. But then again, it boils down to something even bigger than wants and needs. It boils down to, does it fit the definition? And it doesn't. And should they change the definition to make the definition fit it? And that creates a huge gray area. I jumped in here for two questions, nightstryke. If I may just get my words out here before I forget. First of all, I want to say thank you for doing this and bringing it to light and all this. My plan is to get a produced video out before I leave for shot, and then that way tag it and title it good and all that. That way maybe it'll catch a little more traction. Obviously, I've already talked about this live on my shows, and everybody else has. So I think getting some produced content out there might help. Anyway.
We have, but I have links in the description of the video of the video on the live stream.
I think it's important that we flood social media with this, and so thank you for that, definitely. On the Trump issue, the Twitter issue, and that's one reason that I wanted to jump on here, because
I've tweeted him several times.
Cal out there and several other ones, they've had some questions. If you don't know what to say or whatever, I'll kind of give you a general idea, and you can also just go to my Twitter and retweet that. First of all, the tweet to Trump is not going to be the same as your comments to the ATF. Trump doesn't know all of that. He doesn't know all the ATF stuff. He may not even know what's going on. You know what I mean? So, you need to style your tweet in the form of, he promised us no gun control under his presidency, and we voted for him because of that. The ATF is under his control in the executive branch, under his direct control. Not only that, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, who called for the ATF to do this, is his guy, is his Attorney General. So he needs to take care of this. He needs to be consistent with his campaign promises, and he needs to, make sure that our voices are heard and that nothing changes and it just goes away, basically. And that's how you need to frame the tweet. Don't go into all kinds of technical stuff and all of that.
Because that's going to go over his head.
That's for the ATF. Talking about turning a black and white definition into a gray area, all of that. That's stuff for the ATF. That's for your comments. So
you need to lay this tweet out in layman's terms, because he only understands layman's terms.
Exactly right. Make sure with the ATF comment, yes, get technical, do all of that. Try not to stay political and partisan and stuff like that. When you tweet the Trump, yes, throw politics into it. We voted for you, Jack, because you told us you wasn't going to pull crap like this.
You weren't going to screw us over.
Exactly. I wouldn't say screw us over, but yeah, push that political aspect of it when you tweet Trump, but stay out of that on the ATF. They don't care. You're talking about a politician essentially versus a bureaucracy. So make sure you separate the two. My question for you, and I've got a serious question because I wasn't going to jump on because I'm doing other things, and then you talked about being a pessimist, and this worries you, and blah blah blah. And this is a genuine question, and I would love a specific and genuine answer if I can get it.
Okay.
Here is why this does not necessarily scare me or worry me as much as it seems to other people. And it's just as we talked about. This is a weird situation. And when you step back and you look at it, the ATF has already looked at this on multiple occasions. And so why are they looking at this again? I mean, we've got to ask that question. And then we look at the fact, again, that Trump has promised us no gun control. This is all being done through the executive branch, which is his. It's through his attorney general, again, his ATF. And it's something that's already been done. We've seen on C-SPAN, we've seen the congressman and whatever call for this to be added, this basically an inquiry and all like this be added into, HP 38 and all that. So there's people since the Vegas thing happened, there's people that's been calling for this to be looked at again. Why? Because, let's be honest, those people are idiots. They don't keep up with what goes on in the firearms world, industry, and community. And they don't probably realize when they're calling for that, or most people that are their voters and constituents, when you talk about Democrats, they don't know that the ATF has looked at it and already ruled twice. They don't know that. But now that Vegas and everything has brought all this to light, you've got all these people that were not in the know that are curious. So they say, okay, in the grand tradition of a political play and political theater, what we're going to do now that all eyes are on this situation is we're going to have the ATF look at it. We're going to have them come to the same decision that they had before, and then everybody can see that the ATF's dealt with this. Let's move on. So that's where I think it's at. Now, why do you think that a Republican president, a Republican, executive branch and everything like that under Republican control would be so hard pressed and dead set to go in and change a black and white definition to gray? I could see if we had Hillary. I get you. I don't see it with the political makeup that we've got.
I know you don't see it.
Where specifically do you see the problem in the issue to be? And I'm just talking about a degree of worry or stress or anxiety or whatever it's causing you. Where do you see it being that big of an issue? I'm not saying we don't be vigilant and we don't voice our opinion and all of that, but where's that coming from? I guess is what I'm curious about.
I've read 1984. I have done a lot of studying, and also, the same could be said. What were you doing in 1986? We had the Republican majority then. We had a Republican president, but
we didn't have a Republican Congress.
Technically, we don't either. Still, we got a lot of rhinos, but
yeah, well, it's true.
But
and I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something, though. I will concede this: in '86 or during Reagan's presidency, we had more Democrats that acted like Republicans in the traditional sense, anyway.
But
Democrats weren't like they were now or are now.
My point is, though, that it doesn't matter who's in control. That it's happened on both sides during both sides' term as president or in Congress, no matter what. So gun control isn't necessarily one side or the other. It can happen during both.
And I understand, but being done again, being done strictly under the executive branch, like it is when Trump promised he wasn't going to do anything, then Trump hasn't really broken any promises. He's made good on quite a few that he can with the working within the confines that he has with Congress, because they won't pass laws or bills or whatever. I've seen no I've seen no negative actions or him necessarily, blatantly going against campaign promises and stuff he made. So, like I said, what is there? Is there something specific that's going on that leads you to believe that on this one issue? Because I think that a lot of times we tend to, as Second Amendment people, we tend to get a little too close to it, and we tend to not step out and look at big picture. We're just worried and looking at that Second Amendment so hard that it just, that's what we're hyper focused on, and sometimes it creates a lot more stress and stuff than need be. If we step back and just look at it, we can go, okay, this isn't making any sense. And if there's no end game, for that party or that administration or whatever, then what's really going on here.
I'm just, I'm trying to figure out how to put it into words because I'm not the greatest of speakers. I mean,
I'm on here spur of the moment.
I'll get out there and speak in front of people and whatnot, but I'm public speaking. It isn't my strong suit, so I've seen what happens on both sides, and well, yeah, I know Trump has said this, and he's pretty much kept his promises for the most part, but I guess it stems from the fact that I distrust politicians in general, and I'm not alone on that. It's been happening the last 30, 40 years. People, probably longer, people have distrusted the politicians, yet they still elect them. But
there was distrust for the system from day one. Yeah. The founders did not give us a perfect system. Yeah. And they knew that. They knew that going in. That it was the best system. It was the freest system. It was the system that promoted the most capitalism, the most liberty, the most prosperity, everything else. But they knew it wasn't perfect. And so, I mean, unfortunately, there's been people that have gamed that system for many, many years now.
Right. Well, I guess that's where that stems from, and I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. It's just I
get it, and I don't fault. That's why I wanted to come on and ask the question and just kind of poke the bear, as it was a little bit with you, and see if there were some specifics that made me kind of understand your position more, because I'm the same way with Mac and several of these other ones that have jumped on and put out videos and other things. I don't get, it's like they get so passionate and so wrapped up in it that it's like they just don't step back and look big picture and then try to put the whole thing together. And again, that's from my perspective, and I don't fault them, because at the end of the day, we're on the same team. I mean, I sent in my comments. I've tweeted Trump. I'm, making videos like everybody else and trying to get the word out. And I want this stopped because, it's an infringement on the Second Amendment. And more than that, it's a potential power grab that can be dangerous. So, I mean, it's got to be stopped, and we're all on the same team with that. I just, You've got guys on the team that are, trudging along, with the ground game and thinking that, they may or may not win this ball game. And then you've got others that are optimistic going, oh man, this is a team that, we can easily beat these guys. Not a problem. And that's, you're going to have that in any type of an organizational or a community makeup. So, yeah, so I don't fault the guys that have the negative outlook or the pessimistic outlook. I don't fault those guys at all. Those guys actually help provoke thought. Just like I've come on here and you said yours, and you got me to come into your chat because of what you said. And now I'm solidified more in my thinking and the ways I think. So I mean, you've helped me to have faith in what I'm saying. So
follow me here for a second. I'm worried, as I'm one of the small niche that like bump firing. I know it's a waste of ammunition. I know that it's a cheap thrill, but I use it for entertainment. But you have to look at the rest of the firearms community as whole. Some people, some see it as a joke. Some see it as it's not necessary. Hell, the FUDs don't give a damn. Mm-hmm. So the firearms community is technically splintered on this whole subject and don't realize that if we lose this one aspect, we may open ourselves to losing more.
Well, and that's another reason when you start talking about the people on the fence, whatever. That's another reason that, and it's just like with everything. And I know I get annoying, guys. I mean, I understand that because I'm typically seem overly optimistic and positive about every single thing that goes on. But I believe that when you're dealing with people on the fence and you're pounding home this idea of, oh my God, this is the end of the world and we've got to fight for this, and they're gonna take everything away and they're gonna blah, 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 blah. People on the fence are going, that's kind of unrealistic thinking, and sure, they don't understand the overall the more important connotations of taking a black and white definition and turning it gray and all that. The problem is they don't understand that. So there's a couple of ways in my mind, you have to approach that. And it's not by being pessimistic and negative. It's by being positive. It's by portraying and going to those guys and go, look, I agree with you, dude. I know you don't, so you would leave that part out. But, I would say I agree with you, Mr. Fudd. These things are stupid. I've tried to shoot them. They suck. I get you. But then go into the facts of the matter. And the fact of the matter is they're turning a black and white definition gray and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And then tell them point blank. I mean, say, look, this is a fight we can easily win. We can easily win this. They've already, and go through my spiel. We've got a Republican president. This is potentially just political grandstanding anyway. It's something that we get our voices out there. It kind of gives them some backing. This whole thing goes away. All we need is, it's basically for you to come on board and sign on this and say that, hey, yeah, the definition doesn't need to be changed. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not, Mr. Fudd, you like bump stocks. But like I said, get off the gloom and doom is gotten pounded so much. 8 years of Obama, that's all we ever heard. And that's one of the reasons that I try to stay positive and try to move the ball forward that way, is because I am sick and tired. We're what, a year and well, I guess, yeah, we're a year past Obama. Everybody's still here. Everybody's still living. Everybody's still apparently got food on the table and a roof over their head. Maybe not the best food on the table, but the best food over their head. But we're all still here. We all still have guns. We all still have, and just look at all the gloom and doom and end of the world crap for 8 years we went through. And I'm sick of all that.
I understand, but
it got us nowhere. What I'm saying is it changed nothing, and it got us nowhere by having that negative, pessimistic outlook for 8 years. It really got us nowhere.
But I guess it was during those 8 years it was ground into us. So unfortunately,
yeah. Well, when a yard dog's getting beat with a whip constantly, after a while he tends to just cower over in the corner. That's unfortunately, yeah. I get that, but at some point you have to make that personal decision and go, look, find the good things in life and find the good and the positive and stuff. Even if you've got to hunt for it. Even if you got to peel back 10 layers to get to it, find the positive, find the good out there, try to focus on that and try to promote that and try to push that forward. And that's, I know that annoys people with me, but I try to make that my approach. But, again, people like you, the shall not be infringed. And you guys are the ones that rally the base. Mac is good about that. Heck, even Yankee to an extent. You guys are good about, you've got that hard line outlook, that pessimistic, the gloom and doom, those guys are really, really good. And I'm talking about even through the Obama years or whatever. Those guys are really, really good for rallying the base. The problem is, and you hit on it, is when you're dealing with FUDs, you're dealing with everyday people that live their everyday lives. And that, I don't think that type of approach and mentality works to bring over those fence riders, to definitely not to pull people across the fence, but even to get the fence riders off the fence.
Right.
I just don't see that approach working. They don't want that in their lives. That's
Right.
just a hassle for them. Why? That's another thing negative. I'm having trouble paying my mortgage or my car insurance or putting food on the table. I don't want to have to deal with, attacks on the Second Amendment that are imminent and going to ruin the whole fabric of the firearm community, and all this. However, when they're poised with the option of, hey, okay, this is all I got to do is go fill out a little comment and say we don't need to change the definition, and we've got a Republican president and all this other stuff looking at this. Odds are really good. We're probably gonna get this done. Sure, okay, yeah, I'm on board. I'll go spend 5 minutes and do that. Not a problem. You don't get dismissed as easily, I guess. Is what I'm saying by the fence riders. But again, it's necessary. I get it for rallying that base. It's necessary. You got flaming, crazy individuals out there like Uncle Ted, or whoever that, and they're great at rallying the base, but that's the extent of their reach. But rallying that base. So
I am also not against telling people to go and take offense. I mean, just look at the title of the video. I probably could have titled it a little better, but still, I'm not saying just, go ahead and take it and, not send in a comment, not go and tweet Trump. Hell, tweeting Trump might be going offense too, because he does read his tweets. And he uses it an awful lot, even though some of us would wish he wouldn't. Right. But, I just want to get the message out there, all right? And for better or worse, it's got to get out there, and I guess I need to get my personal stance on it out there too.
Right. No, and that's great. I mean, everybody. That's what I said when I first come on. Is thank you for doing this, and everybody needs to be getting stuff out there. Everybody, even if you don't, even if this is your first video, kick on your cell phone, put something on your channel.
I'm looking at you, Gary. I see you out there. You got to meet. I'm tagging you, Gary. You're next.
Just bring it up. Say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you do. It's this easy to go fight this. It really is. Share this, and that's a big thing. It's sharing. A lot of people, they go, they listen to us or whatever or whoever, and they go and they fill out the thing and they go about their daily lives. Click that share it to Facebook, share it to Twitter, do an Instagram post. Share it to multiple places, even on Facebook, if that's what you need to do.
Right. So,
push it out there a little forward. Let's perpetuate this. Let this get going. And let's be honest. I said this when we did the Fire on Friday show, and we talked about this 2-3 weeks ago now. And I've caught in a lot of flack in comments on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and some other things going, you really need to make a video and do this. And I'm like, do you not follow my channel? We spent an hour talking about this like 3 weeks ago before Mac ever said anything, so, instead of watching Mac, maybe you need to watch Clover Tack. Just saying. But, yeah, I mean, we've already went over this, and we want in the whole gun channels group of creators have talked about it multiple times on multiple shows over the last few weeks. So this is not something that we've been silent on or swept under the rug. But there are other people. There are other people that haven't said anything. But again, back to my original point with that. Like I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever, on that show, I said, we've still got weeks left. So, it's not critical. It doesn't matter if you file your comment the day before or 3 weeks before or 2 days before or a week before or 2 hours before the deadline, as long as you get it in. And the truth of the matter, the reality of the situation that it would be, is that most people are last minute people. And so, I think you're going to see a push the last few days. The last couple of days, the last 24 hours, I think you're going to see a push.
Well, then I guess maybe this video was meant to be a last call for those that are dragging their feet.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, like I said, I've got one planned. I plan on doing again, and I think, everybody else needs to do that as well.
I may do another one. Yeah.
It's part of being vigilant. We got to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Now, Ghost,
Yeah.
I know you've been sitting there kind, but what do you have to add that you'd like?
It's just one of those things where, I've kind of said what I wanted to say, and I do believe that it is everyone's duty and responsibility to go and fill out the ATF questionnaire, to post it to Facebook, to Twitter, spread that questionnaire to as many people as you can get and have everyone that is pro-gun to go do the same. I think it is very important that you make sure that you tweet the president, tweet the vice president, tweet the Gun Owners of America, tweet the Second Amendment Foundation, tweet the NRA, tweet all these people and let them know that how you feel. Tweet. I tweeted a thing and I tweeted it to Guns and Ammo magazine, to Gun Digest. Try to get this to as many people as you can, that maybe they retweet it. And if you see other people that you're following on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook post something about it, share it, retweet it, whatever that platform allows you to do. It's very, very important. We have 5 days. We have 5 days. Now, once again, the optimist says that I think we're going to be okay, because I think that they have got a flood of response to this. I think that they know exactly where it needs to happen. But should they choose to decide to change the definition of a machine gun or bring up the discussion on rate of fire issues, you're effectively going to see gun control at the highest level and the biggest infringement. Yes, the NFA is huge, but I think this has a bigger chance of changing guns as we see it, because things that we're not talking fully automatic machine guns. We're not talking the bump fire stocks at this point. We're talking rate of fire issues, and we're talking a 15-round magazine for a Glock 19 could technically be considered a rate of fire increasement because it can fire quicker than a 10-round mag. We're talking triggers. We're talking a lot of things that will be brought into the discussion that have no business being regulated. So it is extremely important that we let the ATF know that we're very, very serious, not only on the bump fire stock, but on any regulation and any change of definitions and all of that will not be tolerated. Our Second Amendment is there. It shall not be infringed. And we must stay vocal. We must stay vigilant to make sure that we do that, because this could be a stepping stone and a gateway to bigger and worse things than just a bump fire stock.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I need to breathe a little bit.
No, go for it. Take a breather. But I do not know how to spell that, but I'm gonna try and bastardize this. Rankonok Gun Channel said, "Yeah, Google isn't letting him jump in, but he was just wondering if I think binary triggers might be encompassed in this rulemaking."
Oh yeah,
the ATF agent Mac interviewed, which same one that the Iraq veteran interviewed, didn't make it clear, and he might not know because he's out of the loop. He's retired now. He may be out of the loop, but I'm telling you right now, if it's not included, though, I think any sort of trigger actuator that accomplishes the whole bump firing thing may be included in this. And if it does, if they do succeed in getting rid of bump stocks and that, then yeah, if it's just bump stocks in particular, regardless, if we let them take the bump stocks away, it won't be long before they decide to redetermine that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty clear.
It's
pretty clear to me if you read through this, it's pretty clear to me that Ghost is absolutely right. What they're talking about here is that they're not really talking about. They're using the bump stock sure as the poster boy for this issue. But this is a rate of fire issue.
That's right.
And that gets into a whole other, besides the changing the black and white definition to gray, that gets into a whole other thing to where you can't mechanically distinguish rate of fire in a semi-automatic firearm. It's impossible. There's way too many things from a mechanical device doing it, to the quality of said mechanical device, to the dexterity of the of the shooter's finger.
And you're also
they come into play, and that you just can't do it. So,
and I don't know if it was on your show or whose show it was. We sit on so many, but I can't remember which one it was. But how are you going to discuss rate of fire until you have a base rate of fire definition? And there's no way of doing that,
But my point. That's exactly my point. Is it's impossible. There's too many variables at play.
That's right.
That you cannot control to get a baseline. There's no way. If everybody had the same finger dexterity, and there was one firearm out there. We were talking about we were talking about whatever. We were talking about the Colt XM177. That's just off the top of my head because it's one of my favorites. That's the only firearm that we have in the country, and everybody has the same finger dexterity, right? Okay, we might conform the baseline then. It's entirely possible. But with all the once you kick the variable of the multitude of different types of firearms out there, semi-automatic firearms, and then throw in the infinite number of levels of finger dexterity, rate of fire in the semi-automatic is impossible. It has to be a mechanical definition, and that's what everything is to this point. It's based on mechanics. It's not based on anything subjective at all.
A
few weeks ago, I know Nightstrike, you were worried about the number of comments that had been in, and if you remember, we went and looked at that point, and what there was like a little over 2,000 or something. Do you remember how long ago that was? Was that a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I'm showing 7177 now. And the thing is, that's public comments.
That's public, yeah, because you have the option of not making it public.
Yeah, that's public comments. And I can guarantee you a lot of the manufacturers, people that work for manufacturers, people that are in the industry,
they're not making it public.
Politicians, especially local, level politicians and stuff like that, they're not going to make it public because they don't want that to come back in a campaign or something and bite them in the butt. And there's a lot of local level from city officials on up, you know what I mean? So,
right.
So you got to figure that we may be sitting at potentially at least 10,000 now. And that's an increase. That's over 3 times the amount of comments that we had 2 weeks ago. It couldn't have been no more than 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So, the rate at which, and we're talking about rates here, which is crazy, but the rate at which these comments are coming in is increasing. So, that's why I say I'm optimistic. I think as this moves in that last day, that last 24 hours, I think you're going to see a flood of them. I really do.
Well, and I know, and G's mentioned this several times, and it's very, very true. We have the next 5 days are going to be at the largest individual gathering for the firearms community in the world. And if there's ever a time or place to, I wish I could make it happen. There's no way we could, but you know what I think would be really cool is if we took 5 minutes in the middle of range day and we know everybody's in there and someone gets in a loudspeaker and says, all right, I need everyone in here to pull out your phones at this particular time, and to take a massive, massive picture and post it on all the on the social medias, but says, I need everybody to get on your phones at this particular time, and we're all going to send the same tweet to President Trump from range day at SHOT Show. I think that would be freaking incredible. But like you said, the SHOT Show is the largest gathering for the firearms community in the world, and it just so happens that this thing ends on Thursday of SHOT Show. I wish there was a way to get, all those 80,000 people at SHOT Show to come together for 10 minutes at SHOT and say, here's what we're doing, guys. That'd be awesome. It's going to take someone big, big time to do that.
Right.
Yeah. That would be neat.
All right. So I think we got that out of the way, and we pretty much come full circle. Does anybody else has any questions out there, comments, anything they want us to read off? Please go ahead and
Well, I just fired up my Twitter, and I see several. I can see several tweets out there going. So keep it up, guys. All I'm gonna say.
I mean, if anything, right now I'm making a call out. Let's do Twitter storm. Let's go and I say
Twitter blitz.
No. I don't know if you want to use blitz because that's. But yeah, the gun channels, Twitter blitz. Racist. Let's go and tell Trump not to ban bump stocks.
Yeah,
just tell them don't let the ATF come up with rules on their own. It's not their job.
Real Donald Trump, POTUS. You can use either one. Real Donald Trump is tends to be seen the most.
Yeah,
it's the most traffic. But POTUS is Melania's. I don't know Ivanka's or Don Jr.'s or Eric's, but again, especially Don Jr. and Eric. You want to tag them for sure.
Yeah.
They actually, Trump does not, and said it such many times. He's not big into firearms. He's honestly, he's a bud. He's one of those that's on. He's on the fence.
He carries one with him when he.
I understand that, but he does not. He's not avid with going out and shooting and hunting or doing anything like that.
Right. He doesn't need to be.
Whether he needs to be or not, he could be on freaking African safaris with his kind of money every day of the week. So I mean, He could be. Yes, he could be. It's just not something that interests him, and that's fine. However, my point is his sons are different. Again, I've said this multiple times before, but I've read multiple articles in hunting magazines and stuff from both Eric and Don Jr. On them, and so. Definitely tag them because, regardless, he's the POTUS, but, when he's got family and he, gets input from family or anything like that, I mean, that could help too. If they're going, Dad, this is, how we are. We like our guns and our hunting and our other stuff. And this is a bad deal. Dad, you need to do something about it. Just like any parent, I would think that would sway on him. Any of us, if we were in that position and our own kids come to us and said, this is a bad idea, we would really think twice, even above AIDS or lobbies or anything else. I think as a parent, we're going to tend to think twice. So, definitely hook them up. All your right-wing social media personalities from Limbaugh to Beck to Hannity, Levin, all of them, definitely. And then, I a lot of the Fox News analysts and stuff like that I threw in there. I don't think it's going to do any good to use any of the other ones. And then some celebrities. I put Dean Cain in there. I put Gary Sinise in there. Can't remember offhand, but a few others like that. And all it takes, is lightning to strike. And for, that's why I say the tagging and retweeting to people like that. That's why I say it's important, because if one of those people that have, millions of Twitter followers retweets that, we're good. We're golden at that point.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna catch traction. So, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time for that lightning to strike. And that's why it takes all of us tweeting, retweeting, and tagging on there. But we can make it happen.
All right. Ranko also asked out there, is it possible bump fire stocks and the like are made NFA items that could have a new classification? I'm going to say this. If they do reclassify it, there's a possibility for them to nickel and dime us. And then if they do it that way, people wouldn't buy it, because who the hell is going to buy a piece of plastic that comes with a $200 tax stamp? I'm sorry, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And here's the thing, if you arbitrarily just start creating different regulated classes under NFA like that, that could be a double-edged sword to eventually. That could be a positive. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that could be used to loophole a lot of different stuff. You know how when they mess with regulation, and that's all part of the thing with this is, we're talking about if they change the definition from the black and white, mechanical definition to this, arbitrary rate of fire thing, that it turns it gray, and then that's going to create loopholes, and it's primarily loopholes for the left. But you got to be careful because all types of loopholes can get created when you start jacking around with regulations and stuff. And yeah, I think if they set aside a whole different classification just arbitrarily like that, that's a whole interesting different conversation that I would want to do some homework on. But you're talking about potentially companies coming out with what could be considered machine guns, but oh, wait a minute, they slide through this loophole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pants just brought out an interesting concept. If the bump stock is labeled a machine gun, there will be no tax stamp unless maybe you owned a bump stock that was manufactured before 1986.
Yeah, and that's another point. I mean, when they're talking about if they create a whole new thing, that's one thing. But if they change the definition where bump stocks are included, then basically everybody with a bump stock, manufacturers, all the way down to the end users, you're in possession of an unregistered, basically, receiver. Is what it amounts to. It'd be the same as having, a fully automatic M16 receiver or something, sitting around.
You can't use it unless it's affixed to a rifle. I argue that it's not a receiver.
I understand it's not a receiver, but that's why they're changing the definition to just include that and parts like that increase rate of fire into that definition. And when you do that, yeah, you're right. Anything created after 1986, unless it was created for law enforcement or military use, is illegal. So, first of all, you retroactively make anybody that's ever produced a bump stock a criminal.
And then you retroactively make every citizen that owns one a criminal.
Exactly. And that's a whole other issue of changing that definition.
And then that kind of thing, then you have to go and do confiscation on all that. And quite honestly, if they started to go out and confiscate things from people, that's
so here's the thing though. If they do that, and they say, okay, well, again, I know y'all hate me for looking at the positive, but look at this. They do that, right? And then we come back and some state attorney general or somebody or some big group, and they sue. And Ginsburg has been replaced, which would be awesome. And they say, okay, well, if bump stocks are all included and these binary triggers are included and all those were made after 1986, then how come we can't have an M16 receiver built after 1986? It goes to the Supreme Court, blah, blah, blah. And all of that is deemed, okay, well, now you can own a machine gun receiver built after 1986.
It just has to be serialized and registered.
$200 stamp, and I mean, you could get an M16 you could build a full auto M16 for a $200 stamp and pennies compared to what you can go buy one now. I mean, it kills the NFA market completely. Well, I take that back. We've discussed that on Rick's show before. There's still a certain collectability with stuff built before 86, but as far as the average person owning a machine gun, it could open the door for the average person to own a machine gun. And I bet you that's something that I'm sure the left are praising this whole thing with the ATF, and I'm sure that's something they haven't considered. What if this backfires and people are then able to utilize this loophole we just created?
I hate to say, but maybe you should have kept that to yourself.
Well,
Nah.
But
they're smarter. There is smarter people than I in this world. So I can guarantee you somebody somewhere has thought of this and put it out there. I can promise you. The ATF themselves has probably considered this, and that's why I've already stated my piece that I'm pretty optimistic they're not going to let it fly.
Well, I'm hopeful that our call outs right now are telling people to tweet Trump, or telling people to go, if they haven't, to go ahead and go to the links in the description of this video and let your voice be heard to the ATF. I'm hoping that'll change things. that will, I don't know, prevent them from making the wrong decision. But at the same time, if we don't get enough people out there that say something, it could bite us. So we need as many people to go out there and comment and give the ATF your opinion more so than ever.
Yeah, we have to be vigilant. Absolutely.
And then after you're done with that, go and tweet Trump and tell him, hey, don't let the ATF make laws. That's not the job. Tell them to enforce laws, not make laws and rulings. They're not supposed to do that.
No. Like I said, make it about him. Got to make it about him.
Yeah.
You promised us this.
You promised us no gun control.
Why is your attorney general
make up laws?
Yes, I would say why are you letting, because that's accusing him of it. I would say, why is your attorney general and ATF trying to create gun control additional gun control when you said that wouldn't happen under your administration?
Right.
Basically just pose him a question, and like I said, if you voted for him, I wouldn't necessarily lie, but if you did vote for him, put in there that, I voted for you, because you said there wasn't no gun control and you wasn't going to push any gun control. And now look at what your executive branch is doing here. Why? That phrase it in that type of a wording, I think. Make it about him, and then tie, the attorney general and the ATF, which is where this is coming from, tie that back to him.
Yep.
Where basically you're saying they're making him look bad. In not so many words.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. I don't see how he hasn't got rid of it. I don't want to get all political and off on that kind of a rant, but I don't see how. And I never had an inherent problem with Jeff Sessions, but at this point in the game, I don't understand why Jeff Sessions is still there.
Pence said not if they don't rewrite the NFA and GCA.
I don't know what he's talking about with that. I don't know the connotation with not at what not. I don't get it.
Pence, we may have to have a discussion about this later.
Yeah. We went off on so many tirades. I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, we've gone down far to the rabbit hole.
I think what he's saying is there can't be a loophole where you can buy something. Maybe, I don't know.
Rankanak also said, ATF is opening a huge can of worms with this, and they are. And
you gotta, and again, that's part of the positive outlook that I've got. These people are, for the most part, these are rank and file people at the ATF, and they know this is a can of worms. They know it's going to create tons and tons and tons and tons of work for them. And you don't know. I mean, I ran a business for years, and then of course prior to that, I worked in places like everybody else. And I mean, if your boss comes in and gives you the option to do 10 times more work for the same amount of money or whatever, are you going to take that option? Of course you're not. You're not going to want to do that. So, I don't see it being a popular move within the ATF itself. Right. I mean, look at the poor one lady that they're having you mail all the, you know what I mean? On the comments, it's like mail all your comments to this one lady. And I'm like, oh my God, man, she's ticked off right now.
All right, I think we've pretty much killed this one for today.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks, Ghost. Thanks, Clover. I know you guys are getting ready for SHOT Show. For jumping in.
This is important. Very important.
Help me out on this one. Thanks everyone out there on the YouTube side for giving us your opinion and giving us your perspective. Oh, yeah. So with that, I'm gonna shut this down and go see if Rick is still doing his chat.
Yeah, I forgot Rick started. Crap.
Yeah, I did.
So, all right. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.
Check the links. Hashtag shall not be infringed, and check the links in the video description. Thanks.